Hello and welcome. My name's Sarah. It is Wednesday, July 7th. And if you listen to our last meditation, that was last Wednesday, we did a contemplative prayer or poetry practice. It was really about the blessing of your life. May it become more visible to you. And we did this because my dear friend and mentor, Barbara, was going into hospice that day. Now, Barbara has always been a planner. She plans everything all the time. It's the easiest thing for her. I don't know about you, but for me, it's not. But for Barbara, it was always easy. And she decided last Wednesday to go into hospice. And she sent out an email to all of her friends and said, you can come visit me during this time and this time, and here are the numbers you need to call and all of that. And I got a message that July 4th, Independence Day, Barbara passed away. And I love that she planned it. I love that she chose the day of her death. Most people don't get to do that, but it would not surprise me that she was able to do that. But independence, and that's what she has now. And that's when someone asked her how she was feeling towards the end, she said, blissful. So that's good news. I think that when we do our best in our lives, that we get that gift of bliss and surrender, clarity and self-forgiveness and peace in the heart. And that's what we're all doing here, is cultivating that, whether you feel particularly peaceful or not, whether you feel particularly worthy or not, whether you feel particularly loving or not. And so today I wanted to welcome you and guide us into a practice that I've kind of been dealing with these days. I've been working with a coach. This coach has been helping me kind of meet my unconscious belief systems. We all have them, whether you're a meditation teacher or not. And I've been working with her to kind of see myself in the future, and also to address my attitude when I'm doing things that I feel overwhelmed by. Sometimes I feel when I'm stressed out, and maybe you feel this way too, we all have a default when we're stressed out. Some people get anxious. Some people just give up. Some people work harder. Some people get angry. Every one of us has a different kind of affinity for how we show up when we're a little on the stressed out side. And so I've been working with her to kind of look at how I treat myself, Now, teacher learns most. I'm just going to say, I learn a lot here, because I really have to take a look. And I know many of you want to take a look at some of these sort of unconscious behaviors. So what I've been working with is forgiveness. Now, here's the sort of application of it. Many of us have I'm just not going to say many of us. Some of us have something called moral injury. I've been working with some soldiers who have done pretty much unspeakable things in their lives. They were paid for it mightily by our government, but they've done some things that have been so challenging to live with afterwards. And they were young boys when they were joining the military, and they were paid well to do things that really, at this point in their 50s and 60s, they're having a very difficult time living with. Some of them found their way to meditation. And so I've been dealing and working with them and helping them to navigate this transcendence, this ability to forgive themselves and to transcend the judgment that they have about themselves, working with it too, but not meeting it head on, because sometimes it is too much. Now, many of us have not done unspeakable things, but we have maybe behaved in a way that we regret or we don't forgive ourselves for, whether it's breaking someone's heart, forgetting a birthday, saying something we can't take back, treating someone in a way that we can't mend. There are many of us that have carried around behaviors and memories of behaviors that we have a hard time sitting with. And so I thought today we would do a little work with forgiveness of self and others. Some of you may have been here before when I've taught this or led a meditation on this, but this is really about forgiving what's going on inside you, what's going on inside you, and being able to live in a way that you feel harmonious and worthy and loving and loved, and that you don't have to make exception that everybody else is worthy, but you're not. And so I've been dealing with this on so many subtle levels. The way I treat myself when I'm stressed out, for instance, I have a difficult time meeting that. And I don't know what you've been dealing with, but everything's great when we're meditating. But then sometimes when we come out of meditation, there's this feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or, oh, I shouldn't have forgot that, or, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So I'm going to read you a couple of quotes that have really spoken to my heart, and then guide us into a meditation practice along the lines of Ho'Opono Pono. Some of you know this practice, and I'll explain it in a moment, but it's a Hawaiian practice that some of you have heard of. And I'm trying to think who it was who brought it to light here. I'm seeing his face, but his name is escaping me, and I'll tell you in a little bit. So this is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong." Here is a quote by Martin Luther King. "We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He or she who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love." And this is another from him during a sermon. "Forgiveness does not mean ignoring what has been done or putting a false label on an evil act. It means rather that the evil act no longer remains a barrier to a relationship. Forgiveness is a catalyst, creating the atmosphere necessary for a fresh start and a new beginning." Whether we're talking about you or someone that you know, or someone that you know has had a challenging time forgiving themselves, these are really insightful for me to think about, and hopefully for you. The late poet Maya Angelou said, "You can't forgive without loving." And I don't mean sentimentality. I don't mean a mushful meat. I don't mean mush, and I'm finished with it. So whether someone's done something unspeakable to you or you've done it, being able to be strong and love yourself. True forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. And I like to say, thank you for giving me that experience. There's the forgive right there. And forgiveness is when you give up your right to punish someone for what they've done to you. You give up your right to punish someone for what they've done to you, and you give up your right to punish yourself for what you may have done. What peace, what relief. So Ho'Opono Pono, it is a practice, a Hawaiian practice that this man, he was a physician in I think it was a mentally ill, a place where mentally ill people with psychiatric disorders and criminals had to go. And he found it was difficult. People did not want to work with that in that place, and people were scared all the time. It was a dangerous place to be. And he was the physician in charge, and he used to look at all of the records, and he sat in front of all these records, according to this particular story, and do this Hawaiian practice, which simply means to forgive and reconcile. It actually translate into correction. Ho'Opono Pono, and I will put that in the chat. Ho'Opono Pono. And so what he did is he looked at this list of people, or these files of all these people, and he did this practice with them, where he says, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you and thank you. And not necessarily in that order. And sometimes it's as simple as, I'm sorry, I love you. Or please forgive me, I love you. And he did this over days and days and days over these charts. He never actually met these patients in person. And at some particular point in time, he ended up hearing and knowing that there was more peace in that unit. Now, maybe these people were going crazy inside this particular institution because they couldn't forgive themselves, or they couldn't be with themselves after the unspeakable horrors they did. But this can work for you. This can work for the people you direct it to. and it can create more peace and more serenity in your daily existence. So apparently, according to this story, I think his name was Dr. Lou, he ended up, it was a more harmonious place to work. People weren't getting as injured, people were actually healing. So whether that story is true or not, you may have heard a different version of it, we're still going to use that same attitude of forgiveness and loving and being present with ourselves and others who we may have injured and those who have injured us. So we're going to move into a forgiveness practice, and it's a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance toward yourself or towards someone else. So if you don't feel ready for this, then feel free to just do it at another time. Just mute me and all of us and do your own practice. But this can help you to give you peace of mind. It can help to relieve stress in your nervous system. It also is a very deep spiritual practice because you read my last email newsletter. I talked about spiritual bypass. Everything's fine, even though I did this, this, and this, and they did this, this, and this, and I can't forgive myself. Everything's fine. That's a spiritual bypass. So this is not about forgetting or pretending. It doesn't mean condoning or excusing yourself or others. It doesn't obligate you to talk to anyone who's hurt you either. It's simply an internal experience that we're going to do. So of course there's grief. Some of you have missed that part. If someone's hurt you and you're spiritual and you pretend it's all good, some of us have forgotten to grieve. So grief is a very big part of forgiveness. And it's a continuum. It's a continuum of grieving a relationship you may have lost, or a heartbreak you may have, grieving something that you did to somebody else. And so grieving is the heart's natural response. So if you feel, and I know some of you really amped up your meditation practice, if you feel grief coming up, this is part of becoming whole. This is part of the integration rather than the disintegration that we're all seeking, the integration of all parts of ourselves. And it does take courage to grieve and to honor the pain that we carry and that we have, and to be genuine. So let's go to the practice itself. And let me just share the way we'll do it. We're going to go first to forgive ourselves and forgive others. And we don't want to force anything. So if this doesn't feel comfortable, you can just be with that discomfort. And don't force a feeling, don't pretend, just explore. Treat this as an exploration. Now, you know the 5 essentials, right? It's okay to have thoughts. Be kind to yourself, okay? Don't try to have a certain experience other than the one you're having. Let go of expectations, see what happens. Treat it like have a beginner's mind, and treat it like an exploration. And then stick with the whole practice if you can, and mute me anytime. So this meditation may start to remove the barriers that you've erected and the emotions you have carried, or at least help you to digest them. And so I'm going to invite you to sit comfortably, and letting the images and feelings arise as they do or don't do. And I like to start by inviting you to get really comfortable. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, or gaze downward toward the floor if that feels a little more secure. And then give yourself some long, slow, deep breaths. In and out through the nose if you can, at your own pace. It sends a signal to your body that it's okay to relax. Some of us have digital apnea, where we hold our breath when we're in front of a computer screen or phone. So breathing in long, slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Letting your body be comfortable, and then letting your breath return to its natural rhythm and depth. bringing your attention right here, right now. Feel your breath come and go. Let it be as it is. And draw your attention to the center of your chest, feeling that breastbone rise and fall naturally with the breath. You might even imagine that right behind your breastbone, there's bright light at your heart center. You can see, feel, or imagine it if you like, getting brighter and brighter as you breathe. The heart is an alchemist. It can turn everything into love. And first, if you're comfortable, let's bring the focus to the harm that we may have caused others. And let's have the intention to forgive ourselves for that. Maybe there's something at the forefront of your awareness, an experience, a relationship, a moment in time. And you can silently say to yourself, there are many ways I have hurt and harmed others. I may have betrayed them or abandoned them. I may have caused them suffering knowingly or unknowingly. This may have happened because of my own pain, my own fear, my own anger and confusion. Allowing the images and memories of these injuries to arise in your awareness. And observe, witness. Even though it may be difficult. Allowing each memory that still burdens you to arise, and continue to breathe and be present with what's arising now. If you feel that you can release the burden and ask for forgiveness, you may silently decide to repeat these phrases to each person or situation that arises in your mind. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Please forgive me. For a great injury, you may not feel a release, but maybe only anguish or anger or sadness. So be soft and gentle with yourself. Even forgive yourself for not being ready to let go. Feel the softness of your humanity as you continue this practice for another minute or two, and I'll keep track of the time. Be sweet to yourself. As you apologize and ask for forgiveness. I am sorry. Please forgive me. And then bringing your attention now just to the in and out breath. Being sure that your body is soft, that you feel supported and grounded. Perhaps tuning into where your body meets the floor or the chair, feeling the support underneath you. And now, bring to your heart and mind some of the ways you have been harmed or abused or abandoned by someone in thought or in deed or in word, whether they knew they were doing it or not. Those burdens that you hold, that you carry, that you wish were gone, perhaps. Allow each memory that burdens you to arise in your awareness. Be present with what you feel. Feel whatever sorrow you've carried as you continue to breathe softly. And if you feel that you can release the burden of pain by extending forgiveness, as you see these instances or imagine these instances, you can say silently, for the ways you've hurt me through your words or actions or your inactions, out of your fear or pain, confusion, I forgive you. Only do this if it feels right. And if you have great pain, you may not feel the release. You may not want to forgive, and that's perfectly fine. Be sweet with yourself. Bringing your attention to your breath, letting go of the images. Feel the softness of your breath as it moves in and out. Feel the support of this moment, the ground beneath you, the chair underneath you, the support your body offers you, this community offers you. And bring your attention to that heart center. Breathe in and out. From there, or place your hand gently on your heart. And now we're going to address how you've hurt yourself by the words or deeds, the action or inaction, the injury you carry. And you might silently think or say, there are many ways I've hurt and harmed myself. I've betrayed or abandoned myself. Whether I knew it or not at the time, through my words or my thoughts, my actions. And as each instance of injury arises, allow yourself to feel what's here, the burden of it, the injury of it. And if you feel like you can release the burden of judgment, injury, and pardon yourself, you might silently say to yourself, in the face of each instance, I am sorry. I am so sorry. I forgive myself now. For the ways I've hurt myself, I now extend a heartfelt forgiveness. I love myself. I forgive myself. Tuning in now to your breath, to this moment, to the ease of the breath flowing in and out of your body. Sensing how lovable you are, how precious you are. Might continue to do a heart-centered breath. I'll sit like this for a couple of minutes. I'll keep track of the time. Resting in awareness. Resting in loving awareness. Before opening your eyes, simply sit in the stillness, becoming aware of the sounds around you, how you're feeling. You might invite some deeper breaths. Begin to stretch into the space around you if you like. Being sure that you take time before opening your eyes. Do that at your own pace. I like to close the meditation by bringing my hands to my heart center. Invite you to do the same if you like. Recognizing that we're all walking each other home, that we're all looking for the same serenity and wholeness. And may each one of us awaken to the love that lives through us, as us, the love that lives through you, as you, the love that lives through me, as me, and that lives through everyone, whether they know it or not. I bow to that wisdom, that sweetness, that boundlessness that lives through all of us as pure potential. So thank you for joining me today. Being sweet to ourselves as we're on this spiritual path. It doesn't mean everything's fine. Sometimes we need to do our little excavation and find those places we injure ourselves day in and day out with a memory that we don't want to face. So thank you for your bravery, your presence, and being here. And I wanted to see if I could play a song before. Let's see if I can do this. Meanwhile, as I'm looking to do that, I wanted to invite anyone who wants to share how you're doing, how you're feeling, have a question. Anyone? I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Let's see. You can. You can unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment, if you're feeling fragile, if you're feeling like you want to share, feel free. Oh, I remember the man.
I'll share a little.
Okay.
I just loved that. And it was so timely for me because I am dealing with feeling overwhelmed. So I just felt so grateful that you that you mentioned that. And, you know, just trying so hard to move towards a life where I don't feel guilty when I take time for myself.
Right.
And the meditation is wonderful. And I criticized myself a lot, I think, for judgment when I was younger with my love life. Like, what was I thinking? and I can forgive myself and just, it's a learning process. And I have one question, and that is to do with loving ourselves versus feeling special or egotistical. I feel like I am loving myself more than I ever have in my life. And I had a kind of a contempt for that in my 20s. It was not cool.
Yeah.
I dismissed it. I thought being negative was being intelligent or something like that. But anyway, so even now today, as I'm living by myself because my husband died last year, and I go to bed at night and I just feel like loving. I just, oh, you're so wonderful. And then I think I got to figure out how to distinguish this from being egotistical or selfish, those kinds of things. And I know it's a big topic, but anyway, thank you so much.
Oh, you are so welcome. So when we love ourselves, my internet's unstable here. So if you're hearing it, I'm sorry, I'm going in and out, but it's not egoic. There's all kinds of parts of yourself. And the part you love is your humanity. I think it's Marianne Williamson who said, who are you not to be great and beautiful and wonderful? Who are you not to be? That's egoic too, to pretend that cool thing to not be loving towards yourself and to be hard on yourself. That's egoic. That's the ego. Just like the one that's the pride and the shame is sort of confused way of looking at ourselves when we're better than or less than other people. That's confused. But as I think it's the Hafiz poem says, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what a love like that does. It lights up the whole sky. So we're not loving ourselves as special. We're loving ourselves for our own humanity, that here we are, and why not? Why not love the life we are given? To start to contract it and put conditions on it is egoic. just loving the sunset. It's not, you're not feeding into its ego. You're simply being present with it. Loving a tree. You're not making yourself better than or less than. You're being present with it. And the same goes for you, being totally present with the beauty and potential and experience of your life. So I'm going to invite you to play with that, because loving yourself is not egoic. I mean, we are so fortunate to be born in this body. You might as well love it. Why not? And who are you not to be great? And who are you not to be okay to be here? Just like a flower is beautiful in its own right, and we can love it. We get to be that beautiful flower in our own right. So I think that's a mistake of the intellect when we don't allow ourselves to be who we are because we think it's egoic. You get to shine bright. You get to shine bright like a diamond. And I remember it was Joe Vitale who wrote that about the Ho'Opono Pono. He was in the movie, I think, The Secret. I hope that helped, Edie, because who are you not to be super great and wonderful, right? Why not? Anyone else have a comment about that or about your experience? If you go through that, I know I do. I used to say, well, I can't be too bright. I don't want to overshine my mother or whomever's in the room. And I used to look, I had a husband who used to make me look downward so that I didn't catch anybody's eye or draw attention to myself. Of course, that was many years ago. I was young and foolish. But I believed him when he said, you keep on trying to draw attention to yourself. So he had me always look down, always. So I didn't shine. Now, can you imagine what kind of life that would be if I didn't save my own skin? So we all have these, he was in my Ho'Opono Pono experience right there too, just so you know. I mean, some of us have a lot of burdens that we carry, for sure. Anyone else have a comment or a question or something they want to share?
Hi, Sarah. Sue.
Hey, Sue.
I was just thinking that a lot of it, what you just said as well, is about conditioning when being younger. That don't pick yourself up, don't be upset, don't be boastful. Keep yourself in your place. We didn't share lots of reasons because of that childhood in daily life.
You know what, Sue? I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's probably my internet. I'm going to stop recording.